My magic maker friend, if you ever in your human experience feel like, oh, everything feels really complicated, maybe I'm a little bit confused about who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing next, or even ever, then today's episode is going to really help you out. Today, I meet with a really amazing woman who has met the magic within herself and now is sharing it with the world. Today, you get to meet Kiera Doyle, who is the founder of Meeting Your Magic. Kiera is an expert and an enthusiast about human design. She's the founder of Meeting Your Magic, and she's obsessed with energetics and the quantum field and how we can use those principles to live out our true potential. Kiera exemplifies this in her work and in her teachings. And if you hang out long enough with her, you're going to start to believe everything that you desire is possible, because it is. I mean, I believe this, Kiera believes this, you are the magic. And today in this episode, you're going to understand what is human design, and then what can that mean for me, and how can it help me to anchor into my magic so that I can fully meet it, so that you can get busy making your own big life magic. Today's episode is for us all because, as shared, let's just call it the truth. Sometimes being human is complicated. It's also extremely interesting and wonderful and full of potential. So I invite you to meet that magic and Kiera right now with an open mind and be willing to meet yourself, maybe in a brand new way today. Welcome to You Are the Magic, the podcast that is supporting women across the world to claim their magic within. I am your host, Deb D, and it's my absolute delight to share with you some of the amazing women that I know who are living big lives and making magic happen. They will be inspiration for you. I'm also going to be sharing with you some solo episodes with a little bit more about my story, the magic that I'm activating, and how you too can ignite and activate the magic within you. Because I believe it to be true. I do believe that you are the magic. And I do believe that it's time for women to reclaim our magic, our intuitive leadership, and our unique gifts and talents, so that we can be the wave of change that we know the world needs now. So join me in connecting to the magic in you, the magic of women, and let's share just a little piece of how that magic can be activated today. Hey, 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 welcome back, my magic maker friend. Today you get to meet one of my friends. Today we are with Kiera. Kiera, welcome to the magic stage.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor.
It's so much fun because we're double magic. So
You're
my
double.
business is, well, we're kind of triple magic because I'm big life magic. Your business is Meeting Your Magic. And here we are together on You Are the Magic.
You're
So
right.
today we are bringing triple magic, Kiera. Triple
And one
magic.
of our numbers that we see all the time is 333
That's
in
right.
our in,
Three
our-
is
in
one of
our
our
little
favorite.
group of three.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So my friends, strap in because here we go with some triple magic. So Kiera, we're going to start where we always start, which is we're going to be polite. We're going to introduce ourselves. Everyone knows me. I'm the host, Deb D. But my friend Kiera, please share with us, what is the magic that you create and share with the world?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kiera Doyle, and I share the magic of human design. But really, it is the work of becoming our authentic selves, getting back to our authentic selves. And human design is a tool that I'm really into. And I've been into for the past almost 10 years now, that helps us come back to who we are. And I think there's nothing more magical than you you and your authentic expression in the world. And that is what I'm in the business of helping you remember and shine forward and really help you also tap into that unlimited potential of that magic.
Mm. Mm. Yes, authentic self, because that authentic self is where you get the unlimited potential.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Now, everyone listening, if you're like me years ago, where you're like, I kind of know what human design is, but I actually have no idea, we are going to get there. We are going to help you out there. But before that, I'm interested in this. Your business is meeting your magic. When did you meet your magic? Like, where were you at in your life where human design came in?
Oh, such a good question. When I found human design, I was in a top of my life, but also in a low. It's really interesting how we can have that juxtaposition, right? Like we can be doing the best at something, but also feeling the worst internally. And after a long journey of figuring out who I was or who I thought I was and what I was supposed to do in the world, like a journey that took all of my 20s, from going to school for writing to becoming a yoga instructor to wanting to work in the beauty industry to working in PR to then circling back and becoming a licensed cosmetologist to working in a salon to realizing it wasn't my passion to feeling so down about myself. Like this took me like until I was about 27. And I had felt so down in the dumps about all of my decisions and all of these like things that felt so impulsive. Like I was looking at
Mm.
people as mentors and examples of what it meant to be successful in the world. And I always looked at my mom, who had a 30-year career in General Mills working in the consumer packaging industry. She actually was one of the top females in the company. She had risen right up that ladder. My grandfather, her dad, who had worked his way from never having a college degree to getting in the consumer packaging industry as well, working all the way up to the top to like VP. And those are my idols. Those are who I looked up to in the workforce.
Mm.
And so I felt like I had a lot of catching up to do. I'm like, why can't I just pick one thing and stick with it and be good at it? But something really cool happened. When I was 27, I got this opportunity to interview for this huge beauty brand position. And I'll never forget, I went into the interview and the role was you had to have 10 years experience as a hairdresser. And I had 1 year experience as a hairdresser.
Oh, wow.
But I had been recommended for the position. And so I went into the interview and the person who ended up being my boss had asked me like, tell me why I should hire you because you don't have the experience on paper. And I said, well, listen, I know I don't, bring the classic 10 years experience as a hairdresser, but I have experience facilitating and teaching yoga. I have a background in writing. I can write anything you need about, education. That's what the role was for. It was like head of education. And I said, listen, I have helped people inhale and exhale at the same time
Mm.
during rush hour in a yoga studio in the middle of Times Square. I think I can work with hairdressers and help them pick up a pair of shears. And he gave me the job. Like a couple of weeks later, I found out I had gotten the job. And Deb, I thought, and maybe anyone listening too, like I thought this was like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like I remember being like, this will never happen again. Like all of the fragmented pieces of my past had come together to give me this one and only job. And so from that point forward, for the next 4-5 years, I really believed I had to just become the best. I had to be the best at that job. And it worked. I ended up going to work inside the headquarters the next year. I was only gaining momentum. I started sitting around really important round tables, having big conversations. But the one thing I always felt like I was lacking was I wasn't an expert in anything. Like I was the girl that they would just throw into anything. Like they needed a last minute photo shoot, they were going to throw me down. Sometimes I was doing hair. Sometimes I was writing the curriculum. Sometimes I was speaking on stages. All these crazy things were happening. And I reached my peak on the eve of my 30th birthday. I got to do a TEDx talk for the company. So cool. And I remember thinking like, once I do this TEDx talk, I'm going to feel fulfilled. I'm going to feel like I made it. I'm going to feel like I'm on that right path. And I got off the stage and I realized that it just wasn't it. And then I
Mm.
fell into like a dark depression. Like it was like just this
Mm.
low of lows. I started looking at like my bank account. Some accounts were in overdraft. I'd racked up all these credit card bills. I'm like, I make a decent salary. I have like a super cool New York City office that I live in. My health was horrible. My hormones were shot. Like I had abandoned self in pursuit of this
Yeah, the
shiny
other
title.
thing. Yeah,
Yes. And on the
yeah.
surface, everything looked so good. But internally, I felt so far off, and I didn't feel like I had that sense of purpose or that sense of worth that I was hoping to receive from like the external accolades. And that's when I
Yeah.
just went on this little inner journey. I said, I'm just going to try to figure out who I am and what I really came here to do. And if it means that I pivot and I'll switch and I'll, give myself permission just to take a breather. And I went on this little experiment of just following my gut. And I didn't know at the time what that meant. I didn't realize, but it led me within 3 months to finding human design. And then human design
Wow.
explained it all. It's like you're a
Wow.
manifesting generator, like nonlinear, So
Yeah.
that was the journey of getting there. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to take a moment and just like take a breath with you, because there is a woman listening right now who is in that position. I'm climbing the ladder, I'm getting the things, I'm doing what everyone tells me on the outside is getting better, but on the inside, not getting better. And I just want to honor her through
Mm-hmm.
your story, because you're not alone in that being, one of the heroine stories that we take, which is, let me make the world outside me look sparkly, because then
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'll sparkle. So let's just take a moment, I just want to smile at you and just like, oh, like it's so brave to tell that story and to also live that story.
Mm-hmm.
And then to walk away from what on paper looks like, this is what you've been working for. This is what you spent your 20s getting at. Don't
Mm-hmm.
abandon it in your 30s, but you did.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did. And then you said, like, within 3 months, you found human design.
Yes, I found the tool, and my first journey with it was just using it for myself. So trying to figure out how to read my chart. It was this like complex, and I know we've talked about it too. You look at your human design chart, you're like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
And I actually had booked with a human design reader, but at the time, this was 2018, this is the very beginning of 2018, there really were not a lot of human design readers out there. And she didn't have an appointment open for 7 months.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was devastated. And also, I was on a money journey. I was paying off my debt. I had like budgets for everything, but I whipped that credit card out so fast. I was like, time to book this, time to book this human design session. And I just went home that night and I just started researching and learning all about it. And by the time I had taught myself over the next couple months, like what my chart meant and how the pieces kind of came together, I started having conversations with everyone else like, oh, this is the coolest thing in the world. Let me look up your chart and let me tell you who you are. And I really saw the power in knowing this information. And then over the
Mm-hmm.
next 4 years, I just lived my design and things started unfolding and the company started manifesting itself. And I straddled the corporate world for 4 more years while I worked with this tool. And I grew up the ladder even more. I got promoted. Things started really coming together for me. I got this offer for like, if I was going to stay in the beauty industry, it was a no brainer job of my lifetime. Like I easily would have taken it. It was another quantum leap. And in that moment of being offered that job, that's when I knew I actually need to leave. Like, not
Right.
only do I go take this big job, but I need to leave. But what's so cool about this tool is like when you live your design, you can manifest the beautiful life wherever you are. Like, I know not everyone's journey is they want to start their own company or become an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, but like you can use this
And
in
not
your corporate
everybody's in
career.
corporate world wanting to climb a ladder either.
Right.
Like there's so many
So
different
many
ways that
ways.
our magic manifests. But
Yes.
let's, for the person listening who, like me years ago, had no idea, like you kind of heard about that human design thing, but you really didn't know. Like, let's break it down. Let's get into the practical magic. Like, what is it?
So, human design is a combination of astrology, I Ching, Kabbalah, the chakra system, as well as quantum physics. And why I love this tool so much, I sometimes say it's like a Myers-Briggs meets astrology on steroids. It's
Mm.
information about yourself and about how you function. It's really a blueprint of how your energy functions and what gifts you have to share with the world and what lessons you came here to learn. And it's very actionable. So
Mm.
I actually, when I first even heard the words human design all those years ago, and I was listening to this podcast on my drive home from work, I remember I remember feeling a second of resistance. Like maybe I don't listen to this because I don't want anything else to tell me who I need to be. And I felt the really strong gut response to listen anyway. And I'm really glad I did because it isn't about telling you who you need to be. It's more information you can use to navigate the world with least resistance, to understand how you make decisions. So we all have something called our inner authority, which tells us how we as individuals make decisions. And it really is a blueprint to get back to your authentic self. And there are 5 energy archetypes. Should we talk about what they are, the 5 types?
Yeah, let's just give the 5 and then we'll go
Yeah.
into, some examples and some stories about them because I think that helps. Like, so everybody listening, like, at the moment, as you can see, it's complex. Like, it's layered with not only the astrology, the chakras, the I Ching, and this is also a part of what makes it so robust and interesting. And thank you, Kiera, for being the person who's gonna interpret this for us. Because
Mm.
not everybody wants to be a human design reader. Not everyone wants to completely understand it, but people like Kiera and Meeting Your Magic, her business, and her podcast, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It helps to break it down. So give us the 5, Kiera.
Thank you, Deb. I do love to break down the complex
Yeah.
science of human design and put it in the most simplest of terms. It's really like what I was looking for when I first figured it out. Okay, like how
Mhm.
do I make sense of this? So, our energy type is like our internal software. It's like our hardwiring. It's how we function in the world. It doesn't speak so much to our personality or as much about like our innate gifts, but the 5 types, this is probably the most powerful thing you're going to learn about your chart. And we get to learn it today. So we have manifestors. Manifestors are the initiators. They are the doers by nature, right? They came into the world with a very powerful aura that actually is here to create impact. The manifestor aura almost like pushes into life so that it can just push through and create things that were not here before the manifestor came. And their superpower, much like the name manifestor, is their ability to initiate and to manifest anything they desire simply just by claiming it. The manifestors like move through the world in a very direct way. Picture they almost have a direct line to the universe where they can call up and say, this is what I'd like. And then universe delivers. If anyone's ever read the book The Secret, I feel like that book was written by a bunch of manifestors, because I
Yeah.
definitely tried The Secret practices for years and I didn't find the same results. But when I figured out my human design, I realized, there was some ingredients missing. It wasn't just about visualization and claiming it. There were some things in my life, some aligned actions I had to take. But manifestors, it's pretty clear, it's pretty direct. They are the initiators. They make up less than 9% of the population. So we don't need a
Wow.
world full of manifestors. And really, their superpower is that big, impactful aura. But the shadow side of being manifestor is because their aura pushes into things. A lot of times, manifestors feel like they are not always liked by everybody. People feel threatened
Mm.
by them, right? Especially as
Mm.
women, what manifestors will do is they try to make themselves a little smaller. They shrink back and they pull back so that they don't brush up against anybody the wrong way. And I meet so many people in my practice that don't relate to being a manifester. You're here to do something big. They're like, oh no, not me. Because the conditioning actually started so young, like so young when they're in kindergarten and just trying to get along with all the kids. And the thing about our aura is that it's not personal, it's just energy, right? It's
Yeah.
not like that person doesn't like your hair or they don't like what you have to say. It's just an energy and if you're listening to this podcast, I know you know, energy is so real and it's so tangible. And so it's an energetic response that people sort of back up and let manifestors do their thing. But
Yeah.
a lot of people will say, "Ooh, I better make myself small. Ooh, I better make myself
Yeah,
likable."
look, I think, for the manifestors and also for a lot of women here with like big missions, big soul missions, a huge part of that is getting past the world's told me I need to be smaller or quieter.
Mhm.
Indeed. So we have 9% of the population around about are manifestors.
Yeah.
Who else do we have in the playground?
Yeah. So who else we have is we have generators and manifesting generators. And collectively, the generator types make up about 70% of the population. So this is a really big chunk. Generators like myself and Deb, we're Manny Gens, and pure generators. We came here with the sole purpose to be life force energy for the planet. So when I say life force energy, it's this energy that radiates from our sacral, our gut, right?
Mm.
We wake up every day with like a full tank of energetic gas so that we can go out into the world. We can do the things that we love. We can enjoy life. We can be in our joy. We can have fun. We can play. We can create. Generators innately are builders. So we came here to build things, create things. And we have the stamina when the work is the correct work for us. We have the stamina to do it all day. This is like that 9 to 5 hours that we talk about. Like that's for the generators and Manny Gens. We're the ones that actually have the lasting sacral power to do the work we love all day. But the key is it's got to be the work we love.
And are they two different types?
So
Manigens and generators?
So at our core, we're really similar. At our core, we have the same aura, and it actually depends on which human design reader you talk to or which practice you're familiar with.
Okay, okay.
The founder of human design himself actually said it's all generator, it's all the same aura, right? So the core, if you were a bit of a purist here, you would say there's only really 4 types. The Manny Gens and generators are the same. But having being a manifesting generator myself, having been in this work for a really long time, I have identified that actually, no, we're really different. We're really different in our design. And so what the biggest shifts are, generators are here to achieve mastery. They have this energy about them that's almost like this tribal drum. It's like baboom, 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 this depth that they bring into the work that they do. And they
Mm.
move at a more methodical pace, typically. They have the ability to stick with something for a really long time, typically. And they're here to become the masters of their craft. And their path is usually more linear, and their
Mm.
way of being is usually more linear. Whereas manifesting generators, we are more of jacks of all trades. We move often in a nonlinear path. For example, my entire 20s, right? All these
I was
different
just
jobs.
thinking that, and also me too.
You,
Me too, as a Gen like
Manny
you.
Jen.
I
Yeah.
was all over the place.
And you know what's really interesting is that oftentimes we still like to, like, although I'm in the work of human design now, right? Like I still like to have multiple projects going on at once. I
Mhm.
still like to have my hands in a lot of different things, even just the style in which I work. Like I'll always be working on 3 or 4 things at the same time. And then of course I'll give
Me too.
myself the dedicated couple hours maybe to dive in deep work and do one piece. But I have and I'm sure you have this as well, Deb, a very multidimensional brain that holds a lot of frequencies at one time, a lot of different thoughts at one time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
And
only in my whole life, I've only ever had one chapter where I had one job, one full-time job. And that was I
wow.
was living in New York City, and I was the director of a nonprofit organization working in social justice. So I was really passionate about this job, but I was also new to New York City. So
Mm.
getting to know the city and making new friends became those extra things. And I only lasted like 3 years before I was like, I've got to go.
Yeah.
Like,
I've
I've really
mastered
got to
it.
go because like I can't just stay in one lane,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And
And oh, go ahead.
I was going to say like what I'm inviting people while you're listening is like, you may not know your human design, but get curious. Maybe which one am I? I actually don't know what my husband's human design is. Deeply curious. May have to get you to do his chart with permission, of course, everybody. But we were having a conversation the other day and I was like, babe, I'm good at all the things. You're really good at tunnel vision. When you're on something, you keep going until the thing is done and perfect and checked and done. And so I was like, we need to just like, let's pull our strengths in and like give me all the balls to juggle, and the thing that really needs to get done, don't give it to me. You do that. It was like we were having, and it's just coming to me now, like we were having this conversation where it was like, essentially we were saying, let's live our design. Like, let's live by how we're naturally wired instead of bumping up, like, him wanting me to just work on one thing or calm down and stay with one thing, or me wanting him to diversify a little bit. It's like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not how we're wired. That's not how, what do you call it? Our inner software.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So everyone listening for your inner software, like, are you a manifester? Are you a mani-gen? Are you a generator? What else could they be, Kiera?
Yeah. I love that you said it's like playing to your strengths. I think human design is a tangible way of understanding what your strengths are and understanding those around you's strengths as well. And when we can play to our strengths, I mean, our authentic selves can shine, we get more done. And
Yeah.
the nature of human design itself is all about how we click into place together as humanity. So if you see a human design chart, it almost looks like a puzzle. And then you'll notice, Deb, when I put my puzzle piece next to your puzzle piece, together they morph and they connect things. So when we're together, things are firing off in you because of who I am. And when you're with me, things are firing in me because of who you are. And in partnership, the same thing. But it requires us all to understand our unique differentiation. I'm different than you, you're different than me, and to honor that and to make space for it.
Yeah.
So good.
Beautiful. Unlocks so much.
Yes.
So what
to
are the
answer
other
your
types?
question, the projectors are the next type I like to talk about. Projectors are somewhere around 23 to 25% of the population, and they are here to be our leaders and our guides. And so projectors do not have a defined sacral center like the generators and manifesting generators. They are a lot lighter in the way that they move through the world. I think about them as like they're the birds who are meant to fly up over the forest and kind of like direct traffic below them and tell everybody where to go and how to be, because of that vantage point that they can sort of fly up. They can see things that the other types can't see. They're really actually here to help the generators and manifesting generators use our energy better, be more effective. And so the analogy I always give is like, pretend that the game of life is getting the most acorns you can possibly get. Like, we're all trying to get as many acorns as we can. And a projector is born into a community. 70% are generators and manifesting generators. And let's say those represent the squirrels. So the projector's born, they look around and they just see all of the squirrels climbing up trees, getting acorns, digging with their little claws, putting acorns in the ground. And so the projector will go, well, this must be the game of life. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to climb trees and get acorns and, dig through the dirt with my beak and hide the acorns. And then one day the projector takes a little walk by the river and they get a glimpse of their reflection and they realize, oh, wait, I'm actually a bird. Right? And they flap their little wings and they fly up over the forest. And from there, they can just see all the good acorns are actually a few acres away. Right? Now, because they took flight, they're flying, they're up there, like all the squirrels can see them and they're going to say, hey, what do you see up there? Tell us. And now the projector has been invited to guide and lead the squirrels. That's the key, right? The key is that the projector has to be embodied. Like, whoever they're being is what they project out. Right. And so if they're flying, people are going to say, hey, teach me, show me how to be. But if they just realize that they have something to say and they stomp in the middle of the forest and they flap their wings and they yell at everybody, listen to me, I have wings, nobody's going to listen to them. Right. And so for projectors, it's a lot about two things. One, it's about they have to pull themselves out of like that day-to-day quota of how much they need to do to be productive. If all they focus on is like playing the same game as everybody else, they're only going to be able to collect so many acorns at the end of the day, climbing up trees and digging through the dirt. But if they allow themselves to be potent, to take a step back, to get the big picture, think about, I mean, net, think about how many more acorns become available for the whole community
Mm,
when the projector does its magic, right?
mm, mm.
And the second thing for projectors is it's really important that they don't give advice until they've been invited in, that they're not pushing to try to get people to listen to them, that they focus more on like, just go be the embodiment of it, go do your thing, go fly. And
Yeah,
then
and then you'll be
when
invited in.
you'll be invited in, and then you will waste your energy giving guidance to people who aren't ready to meet their own potential.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what I'm feeling when you were describing the projectors, I mean, I felt lots of things, but one of them is, I'm feeling for all those projectors out there who are birds, but they think they're squirrels,
Yeah.
and they can't figure out why isn't things working out for me?
Mhm.
Like, why doesn't it feel like it's clicking in? And like, so it's given me a new perspective on understanding your human design can actually help to ease some of your suffering.
Absolutely.
You know, like, I don't know why, but when you were describing the projector, I was just like, oh my God, I'm feeling for all the projectors who don't know that they're projectors. Like, I just had big feelings about that.
Projectors are by far the most gracious energy types to read for. Like, it usually ends in tears, a projector session, because
Right.
they're like, my whole life I've waited to hear the permission that I don't have to try to keep up with everyone,
Yeah.
that I get to like lean back and see the big picture and
Run
just
my
think
own
of,
race.
yeah,
Like,
run their own
run my
race.
own race.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, projectors out there. I
We
am
love
on your
you.
side. Tell me where the acorns are. I'll go
Exactly.
collect them in my energy. Yes.
And to that point, Deb, I love working with projectors as coaches. I mean, I
Mm,
always have two coaches in my life. I always have a manifesting generator because I want someone who is my energy, gets my energy, knows, because we're going to do things a lot more similarly. Like, have you ever found a strategy from someone and you're like, that would actually never work for me? Right? Like, I have
yeah,
to know someone's human design before I'm going to buy their program, because I'm just like, I just want to make sure I'm going to be able to duplicate what you're doing. But then I
yeah.
always like a projector to fly up and tell me where my acorns are. Tell me
That's
where those
so
acorns are.
beautiful. I mean, what a
Yeah.
great question to ask your coach.
Yeah.
What's your human design?
Absolutely.
So we've got projectors, manifestors, manifesting generators, generators.
You're hired. You are our next human design reader.
Thanks.
um, Lastly, we have reflectors. Now, reflectors are
Ah,
super rare. They're so rare. They make up less than 1% of the population.
ooh,
Mhm. Now, they are entirely energetically open. So, if you look at a human design body graph, you'll see 9 energy centers, energy hubs. And an energy center that has a color to it, any color at all, means it's a defined center. And if it's white, it means it's an open center. And our open centers, or our undefined centers, are where we take in conditioning, it's where we take in the world. Reflectors, their entire chart is white. Their entire chart is energetically open. But what this does is it kind of gives them a bit of a reflective aura, because they can't absorb it all. It would be like way too much. Some
yeah,
people
I was going to say
describe
that feels really overwhelming.
be very overwhelming, right? So there's a
Yeah,
little bit of like a Teflon effect with the reflector aura. It's actually meant to just reflect back what's happening versus internalize it all. Granted, of course, they feel a lot of things. Their identity is constantly going through shifts, and they have to allow themselves plenty of space and time to come to important decisions. But the reflector's job is to reflect back to community the health and the well being of the community. We think about them, they're almost like the barometers of how we're doing. And
wow.
they take, they take it all and they reflect it back, but within them they find their innate wisdoms, their inner reflections. They're incredibly wise people who always have such a special perspective about what's happening in the world, and they're hard to find. I mean, being less than 1% of the population, if you get into this, if anyone listening is like, "Ooh, I want to go look up my friends and family's charts," it might take you a while to find a reflector, but I guarantee you, you will find one. Like, they are around. There
They're
is a
kind of like
reflector
littered
in every community.
around. To say
They
it
are.
again, they're there for the, like, did you say the health and the wellness of the community? Is that right?
Yeah, they're here to reflect back the health and wellness of community. So you look at like the vitality of that particular reflector, and
Mm,
how well they're doing lets you know how well the whole community is doing.
Wow. Do
Yeah.
you know anyone that we would know the name of that is like, is there any famous people who are a reflector?
You know, the one that comes to mind, and I'm sorry, I don't have a better example on the top of my mind, but the one that I just thought of is Michael Jackson. It was a reflector. What an
Aha.
interesting, I mean, the
Yes.
epitome of reflecting back, really the sort of
Yes.
the dark, mysterious things that were being swept under the rug happening for children being brought up in
Yeah.
Hollywood and the industry. He took it
Yeah.
all. If you think about a lot of the things he would say, a lot of how he was very childlike, he would cry all the time and say, "The world feels so heavy." I feel like because he felt everything. He was such a reflector in that sense. And
Wow.
yeah, and he
Wow.
was the epitome and the example of like what the world was, all of our
Yeah.
darkness and all of our light at that time.
Yeah, both. Oh, wow, that is just fascinating. Because I've
Yeah.
never, like, the reason I asked is because all of the others, I know someone in my life who is.
Yes.
Whereas reflector, I'm like, do I know a reflector? I don't know. Um, but that makes a lot of sense. Now I can understand it a bit more with that example, I think.
Hmm.
Let me tell you, so everyone, keep up because we're going to keep going, my friends. There's so much that we have to share. And I want to share this. Before I knew my human design, I gave myself a really hard time at being me.
Hmm.
I didn't know why I kept wanting to change jobs about every 3 years. Why, like my father was like, he was on like your mother, the one track, they got better and better at it, better and better at it, better and better at it. I had role models that were in the one lane getting better and better at it. And I just kept shifting lanes. And I thought I was doing something wrong or I was never actually kind of getting it. And then when I figured out that I'm a manifesting generator and I actually like doing 3 to 5 things at once, that's what keeps me going. And also why I can keep going when other people are needing to take a rest.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, I'm not wrong. I've just been telling myself that my internal programming is glitched instead of actually allowing my program to be what it is.
Yeah.
It was a real kind of like real shift for me. So I think that's one of the gifts of human design is like actually understanding how your inner software works because it will help you to understand how you work
Yes.
or don't work.
Yes. Permission to be yourself, right? Like
Sure.
permission to just do it your way. You know, another thing, Deb, that's so interesting is that generators and manifesting generators, we're here to move through the world through response. Like our strategy. So each energy type has a strategy, and generators and many gens, our sacral, our life force inside of us has to come along for the ride. Like whatever we commit to, our body then has to show up for. And all decisions require our life force energy, even if the decision is like, do you want to eat a piece of chocolate cake, right? Our life force has to be on board because now she's got to digest that. She's gonna,
Yeah.
that's her thing, right? So
Yeah.
part of our work is listening to the life force within us, allowing the life force within us to rise up when opportunities come and feel like, does my life force rise? Am I on board? Do I feel myself open? Do I want this? Or like shrink back and move back in a way when it's not for us. One of the things I used to beat myself up for growing up, I had a manifestor as a best friend. She was so ambitious. She determined everything she wanted. She just said what she wanted. She'd go for it. The way that our first hangout ever, she asked me, "Do you want to go to Avril Lavigne with me?" And I said, "I'd love to go." She goes, "Okay, well, it's tomorrow. I'm going to win tickets on the radio station. They're giving away 2 tickets. I'll win them. And then your mom can drop you off at my house and we'll go together." And I said, "So I don't
Fabulous.
have to ask my mom to bring me because we're not going." She goes, "No, no, no. I'm going to win the tickets. Ask your mom. Drop me off." I went home. I said, "Mom, if Adrienne wins tickets to Avril Lavigne, will you bring me?" She's like, "Sure, honey. If she wins, I'll bring you to her house." The radio station was announcing at 3 o'clock, 3:05. My cell phone rings. "Hey, got the tickets. See you at 4 o'clock." Like just like that, right?
Wow.
And I was like, this woman is magic, right? And I like immediately was enthralled by her. And I watched her go through life. And I ended up living in New York City with her for a period of time. I was living on her couch while her life was like unfolding beautifully before her. And my life seemed to be a hot mess. And I kept
Mm,
asking myself, like, I need to be more ambitious like her. I need to just go for it in life. But what actually I was doing was I was skipping the part where my body had to be on board with the decisions I
yeah,
was making. And without that response, our life force energy doesn't know, am I going to have the energy to do this or not? Is this going to be a fit for me or
yeah,
not?
yeah,
And so it gave me such understanding of like, oh, those were the energetics behind what was happening. And that's why when I created a company, it didn't work. And when she created a company 10 years ago, well, they just went on Shark Tank 2 months ago and they got a deal with Mark Rubin. Like,
congratulations to her.
she's amazing.
Fabulous,
But like, I
fabulous.
couldn't do it the way she was doing it. And so it was permission to like
Yeah.
do it your way.
I want to bring this forward. Yet, absolutely permission to do it your way. But first, you have to figure out what is my way. And
Yeah.
human design is one way of figuring that. There's so many
So many
ways,
ways.
magic makers out there. There's so many ways because as unique as we are, there's all those ways. But something you said before that I want to kind of bring forward is you said that book, The Secret, surely
Mm.
that was written by a whole heap of manifestors. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Because I agree, there's so many people who are feeling like they're unsuccessful in the magic realm, whether that's manifesting or being able to meditate or connect to an angel or a guide or whatever it might be, because we are taking what the guru says is the way as the way
Right.
rather than figuring out what is the way for us. Like,
Totally.
can you just like what comes up for you, Kiera, when I say that in terms of like what you know about human design, what you know about the manifestation and the magic realm?
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Hmm.
And I completely agree with Deb. It doesn't have to be human design. That's not your one and only tool. But it's a really powerful way to peel back and see some of the unseen things that are happening with your energy. And here's the good news, you guys. Most of us are innately moving in this way. We're just beating ourselves up about it and we're making ourselves wrong about it. And we keep pivoting away from what we know to be true. When you hear your human design, it probably won't sound foreign to you. When you understand your strategy, you'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense because everything in my life that's ever come through with ease has happened to me in that way. When you learn your inner authority, you're like, oh my God, that's how I naturally feel inclined to make decisions. So with all this stuff, there's a bit of a roadmap, there's a bit of a blueprint you can follow when you learn your design to bring things in, but we all have the ability to manifest. It's not reserved just for the manifestors.
Yeah.
We all are worthy of our desires, and human design helps us understand these pieces, the magnetism aspect of it. So the magnetism is like what we're drawing in toward us, how our aura actually pulls things in toward us, and who we're being while we're out in the world. And then it also helps us understand how to take aligned action on those things.
Yeah.
So, how we actually bring it in, how we decide on something, what moves to make. And it's a powerful balance of our magnetism and our aligned action. And of course, mindset and our ability to give ourselves grace and our ability to think big and our ability to dream at all, that is going to determine our magnetism and our actions, right? And so human design in and of itself, it's going to show you what actions to take, it's going to show you how your magnetism works, but there's a whole bunch of mindset work that also has to happen. And so what I like to do in my world is marry them together. Like I blend a lot of mindset with human design. But as Deb was talking earlier in the conversation we just had, sometimes even just giving yourself permission and making yourself not wrong and building that trust, that helps your mindset a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Things really shifted for me when I figured out, oh, I'm a manifesting generator. And I was like, oh, all of these pieces, they're not random pieces. I've been creating a quilt. I've got all these quilt squares. And now look at all of this together.
Mm.
Like all of the different adventures and jobs and everything that I have had in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, now very, very happily here in my 50 years wise, I see all those quilt squares and I'm just like, wow, that's a beautiful, beautiful tapestry. Look how much I have to share with the world and with the people I work with. Like I see them all connected to as well, because I gave myself permission to see myself as a whole being. You know, that's the other thing I like about this is like innately in it, it's human.
Yeah.
Like we're all spiritual beings learning our lessons, doing our thing. Well, this is what I believe anyway. I'm imagining you may believe it or may soon believe it if you're going to hang out with me, Kiera, and You Are the Magic. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're humans. So it means we're going to mess up and we're going to make the magic happen. Both. We're going to be human, right? The other thing I love about human design, and I want people to kind of feel this, you know, like it's like a wiggle in my shoulders a little bit. You get to go on a journey. You get to go on a journey because it is very detailed. You can know I'm a manifesting generator and you can rock and roll from there. Or then you can figure out I'm a manifesting generator and here's my inner authority and I'm sacral and then this means. And you don't have to know it all the first time you sit down to understand human design. I definitely didn't. I definitely didn't. Like I got my human design unlocked for me in 2021 and I'm still figuring it out 3 years later. But recently, I want to celebrate this. Kiera, recently you hit like a milestone goal. I don't know if it was a goal, but you hit a big number and you had a workshop. And I was one of those participants and you were talking about the lines. So you want to tell people what that is first, because that's kind of like tee up what I want to share.
About the lines?
No, like
about my goal.
Celebration. About your celebration. I want to
Oh
celebrate
my goodness.
the
Thank
magic
you
that
so
you've made
much.
and how your business.
Well, thank you, Deb. I Meeting Your Magic community hit 30,000 followers on Instagram. And I feel like just yesterday, I was working to get myself to that 2K number. And if I can just give a little like wisdom on the other side, when we're growing things, like whether it's our community or our sales, our bank accounts, like we just got to keep going. And that compound effect, it kicks in. And I look at content that I would spend a really long time working on and like getting my message out there to get 2 likes or, you know, one person in my DMs. And I just kept going. like that is literally the secret, because one day people started picking up on stuff and then there was a whole arsenal of content to go back to and like and so like we kind of have to prepare as though we're going to be that version of ourselves anyway. Like, how does she move? How do they move? Like, if you know they're coming, how can you act like it's coming so when they arrive, they feel like they're home? And the analogy I like to give is like, if you have a shoe store and you really want to have people come in who have like size 7, 8, 9, and 10 feet, but you only carry sizes like 1 through 6, and you carry maybe one size 7, but you're like, when they come, then I'll order more. It's not going to work, because when they come, they're not going to have anything to pick from. So create the content, talk to the people, talk to the community, to the style of person you're calling in, to the members that you wish will come fill. Like, create all of it for them now, because when they arrive, they're going to feel like they're home and they're going to tell their friends. And that's really what happened for me in my page. Like, I started acting like my community was there before they were there. And then it was a quantum leap, and it's just growing.
Beautiful. I love that. And if you're not growing a business, if you're not growing a community, you are bringing something into your life.
Yes.
Like be act and feel as if it's already here. It's on its way. Like it's one of the, you know, it's one of the great unlockers. So for the 30K on IG, Kiera had a special workshop, which was another part about your human design, which we can't get into the detail now, but I want to tell you something here. It was all about your lines. So is there 5 or 6 lines? 6 lines.
6 lines.
6 lines. I had no idea what these lines were. I'd been with my chart for 3 years already, people. This is what I'm trying to make the point of in this story. Is like, this is the point of the journey. I was still getting used to this sacral authority stuff and the managing. And then I was like, what are these lines? I'm going to go and hang out with my friend Kiera. I'm going to learn about these lines. And I'm a 5-1. And the thing that I learned, again, we don't have the time, hence why you're going to have to listen to Meeting Your Magic podcast, connect with Kiera on Instagram. We're going to have all the links below. But the thing, Kiera, is what happened for me in that workshop, I haven't even had a chance to tell you this story, actually. It unlocked for me so much permission.
Wow.
So much permission, because the number 1 is the researcher, and the number 5 is I want to talk to many.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what I was doing, I was getting really tired in my business trying to do all the things, because that's what I thought a manager was supposed to do. And I was like, I'm not supposed to be doing the admin. I'm not supposed to be doing all of these other tasks, even though I feel like I can and I've got the energy to do it. I need to be figuring out how I can get more time to research the stuff I'm really interested in and figure out how I can speak to more people. That's actually my job. And it gave me so much permission to give more tasks to my virtual assistant, to hand over more parts of my community to community members. And I tell you what, like after that, everything is rocking and rolling in a whole new way. So thank you. I haven't had a chance to tell you that story, but that's again, like 3 years into my human design story, something else unlocked for me. People out there, what do you want to unlock for you? Kiera's inviting you to meet your magic. Yes.
So good. I love that story, Deb. Thank you for telling me that. Amazing.
It was really great. Like it cleared my mind of things I was worried about that I couldn't figure out. And the thing is, I wasn't supposed to figure them out.
Right.
That's not where my strengths are. You know, and then this is what I also love about that. It's giving myself permission to be in my strengths. It's like, and now I have a business that employs other women.
That's so
their
cool.
strengths.
Yeah.
I'm just like, giddy up. I am all about that. I am all about expanding the magic for us all. So, Kiera, let's start to connect our listeners and the people watching us on YouTube. How can they, after this episode, stay connected to you?
Amazing. So you can find me at Meeting Your Magic on Instagram and any social media platform. My podcast is Meeting Your Magic. You can listen to it anywhere podcasts can be listened to. Website, meetingyourmagic.com. I'm kind of just a Meeting Your Magic all around kind of gal.
I love it. I love it, because that means whichever platform works for you, you can find Kiera there. And I know that the week that this podcast episode is coming out, there's something really exciting happening in Meeting Your Magic. Share a little bit of that now, because the people who are listening as we are released, this may be exactly what you've been looking for.
So if you are curious about learning the depths of your design, if you pulled up your chart and you're like, I just want to know it all, or maybe you know a little bit about human design and you want to take it further and potentially offer this as a service to others, I am hosting a human design reader training. It's called the Meeting Your Magic certification. It's an 8-week program. This is my 8th time running the cohort. The women in this container already are so amazing. I can't wait to see who else joined us from now. And it is going to be such a special time of transformation. I also just love this time of year in New England. It's like little fall, like it's that time where transformation just feels so palpable. And so the things that happen and the things that get unlocked inside these trainings are mind-blowing. The last round, we had 2 women leave their very long careers during the program.
Wow.
Yeah. And just wild stuff.
Yeah.
So I always grow and I learn so much inside of these programs as well. So you can find more information on that at meetingyourmagic.com, or you can DM me on Instagram if you have any questions and you know being a human design reader feels like something that you want to bring into your world. I would love to see you there.
And Kiera, for someone who this is brand new and they don't even know their chart, is there a way that people can get their chart?
Yes, absolutely. So you can grab your free chart through my website, through my Instagram, like the link in my bio, you can grab it as well. And I also have one-on-one sessions we could do with myself or with one of our certified readers. And we now have reading reports you can actually grab as well. And those are fantastic. That is like a book all about who you are, written about all your gates and all your channels. And we now are so proud to be offering those in addition to our reading services.
Oh, how amazing. So choose your own adventure, my friends. And if you are listening to this and you're like, no, this episode aired months ago, still check out Meeting Your Magic, because as Kiera just said, coming up is cohort number 8. You may be in cohort number 13. Who knows? Still stay connected to the magic in you. And with the beautiful support of Meeting Your Magic and Kiera, you can know more about the magic in you. Your design, living your design, because one of the things I love, Kiera, is you shared when you live your design, there's ease over struggle.
Mm-hmm.
The world and this beautiful human life that we're here to live, we don't need to give it any more struggle. We don't need to feed that beast, but inviting ease and space and permission. Yes, yes, yes. I am here for it. Kiera, this is so exciting. I can feel it. If you are a woman listening to this now and you're just like, that's it, I'm getting my chart, or that's it, I'm signing up for that program, comment on whatever platform you're listening on, because we want to know. Because I can feel it. I'm like, lights are going off for someone right now. Right now. Now, let's anchor in this amazing triple magic. It has been triple magic, hasn't it? Truly delivered. Let's anchor it in, because every episode of You Are the Magic is dedicated. And the reason that this dedication is given is it's this idea of like, let's take a moment to take a breath with who or what have supported us to get to where we are. Who do we want to like pay the magic and the blessings forward to? And when we have a guest, the guest gives the dedication. But while you're listening, I'm also inviting you to figure out for yourself in this next breath, who do I want to send some love, magic, blessings to? Because the world is just going to be better for it. And let's pay the magic forward. So, Kiera, please, my friend, the dedication of this episode is yours.
Thank you so much. I'd love to dedicate this episode to my son, Otto. He is 6 months old, and he has taught me already in 6 months. And even while I was pregnant, Deb, as you know, so many lessons about slowing down, about prioritizing. And I actually have never been more efficient with my time than I have since giving birth to him. He's by all means made me 10 times the business owner that I am, and opened my heart in ways I didn't even know were possible. And I would love to dedicate this episode to him also because I'm so committed to raising him in his authentic self and in his for who he is. And he's a projector according to his chart. But I'm, through the lens of human design, but also just through the lens of curiosity and allowing him to guide me so that he maybe doesn't have as much deconditioning work to do on the other side that I know we've all found ourselves in. But I'd love to see, the generations that come up below us just have a different start on their authentic path.
Oh, again, so many feels. You know what I'm feeling now? I'm feeling now for all of the mothers out there. This is another way that you could understand your little beings and support them to be big beings in the world. I love that, Kiera. It's kind of like, again, like there's this triple magic happening. You just bring it, my friend. It's our manifesting generators. We're just like bouncing with all of the magic here. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing all that you know. And people, that's just the tip of the iceberg with what Kiera knows about human design. And as you can tell, she's such a beautiful teacher, storyteller, open, giving person. I highly recommend connecting to Meeting Your Magic. Literally meet it inside you and Kiera, because you too could unlock so much potential for you. Kiera, you keep doing you because you're doing a really good job at it. You really are.
Thank you.
Big, big love. Big love. So, my magic maker friend, you know, there's so much magic to go around, and I want you to breathe it in right now. And we're not going to fake it. You're actually going to believe it. Breathe it in and know it to be true, that it's you, my friend. You are the magic. Big love. Thank you for sharing your time and your magic with me in the latest episode of You Are the Magic. I invite you now to stay connected to that magic within you. You may choose to connect via a tune. It's a 5-day audio activation that's going to connect you to your intuition and then turn the volume of that inner guidance system up. You may also choose to become a member of the Big Life Magic Makers. It's our virtual community for women who are saying, yeah, I'm freaking magical, and I want to be hanging out with some soul sisters who not only believe in their magic, but are supporting each other to activate it. There's so many ways you can support your magic today with your intuition, through community, by connecting to me, and I invite you to choose you and your magic now. If this episode or any of these episodes have supported you in any way, I would love your support by sharing a review on the platform that you are listening or watching on. It really helps me to get this podcast into more ears and more hearts so we can claim it as women. We are freaking magical, and we are going to activate our magic to create the changes in the world that are moving us towards more love, abundance, prosperity, and joy. Breathe it in, believe it to be true. It's you, my friend. You are the magic.